I took graded Pokemon cards, broke them out of their slabs, and regraded them. Will they get the same grades? Today, inside this box are pretty rare Pokemon cards that I literally took the slabs, broke them out in order to run an experiment to see just how consistent graded Pokemon cards are. And inside this box, all of these were graded from Beckett originally and again, to find out just how close or not close the new grades will be. And if you like this type of series and want me to continue it, guys, please show your support by letting me know in the comment section, and of course to subscribe and leave a like. Let's get this video to 10,000 likes, and I appreciate the support. So, we have the box freshly returned from Beckett, and we will try to grab one at a time to not just reveal the grade right now, but to see. Okay, so this is the Poliwrath. Looking at the Poliwrath, it comes in with a score of 9.5 and 9.5s all around for the subcategories, except the edges have a 9. But if you take a closer look at this guy, it really is in beautiful condition. And even looking at the corners, I don't see any whitening on this thing. So going forward, I'm really hoping to not just get a bump up at the 9 for edges, but perhaps even a 10 for one of the other categories. I'm hoping to see that with Poliwrath. Now, as you saw, the Poliwrath came in at a very strong 9.5. I'm hoping that we get maybe a 10 for one of the subcategories. Are you ready? Let's see. Oh no, it went down! Oh my gosh. The Poliwrath went down. You are seeing, obviously, the new label that's not wanting to get in focus, but the old label as well. It had, let me see over here, it had 9.5s in every category except the edges remained the same. So, for the centering and corners, the grades went down by 0.5, and that was enough to knock this down from a 9.5 in that gold label to just the silver label 9. So they're saying the centering, let's take a look at the centering. The centering, you know, 0.5 is such a minuscule difference, but it can also make the biggest difference. And like you see here, it bumped the grade completely down. The corners, I'm a bit more surprised at, because you're seeing the black light on here. Hi. There's no whitening on these corners. At least if there's like the biggest speck is down here, but that's like on the edges. That doesn't really qualify, I would think, for the corner. Otherwise, so, you know, for this one, I would be very curious, and this is what you can let me know as well. If you'd like me to cross-grade this at PSA to see what this Poliwrath base set card gets. But there we go. That is the first card. Unfortunately, it went down a grade. Let's go with the next one, and this is the Chansey Unlimited base set card. We have a Chansey base set Unlimited card, which also reminds me of that beautiful Poliwrath, because coming in at a 9.5 with all categories, this time the surface. However, Chanseys are very notorious for having some sort of surface whatever, especially on the foil part. And so going forward, I'm really hoping not just for a surface bump, which really wouldn't matter too much, but perhaps even again, getting a 10 in one of the subcategories would be a very cool thing to see. So this one as well came in at a 9.5. In fact, it had 9.5s in 3 out of the 4 categories. You ready? Again! Oh no, it went down. So the Chansey went down like the Poliwrath to a silver label mint 9. So we got, let me see over here, the comps were 9.5s in every single category except the surface remained the same with a 9. Edges still had the same with a 9.5, but again, the centering and corners were knocked down 0.5, showing just how much a 0.5 difference can make. Wow, that's incredible. So let's take a look at the corners with the black light real quick and see if we can see anything. So that corner looks good. Good. This one's even better than the Poliwrath corner. The only thing, like, I guess I can say is, just like I've mentioned before, is the type of way the corners are cut compared to the rest of the corners for this specific side. And you see that as well in the Poliwrath, how these corners are like that. Interesting. We got to move on. But unfortunately, those were knocked down, but not by too much, so it's not too much of a loss. All right, this next one is the Venusaur. Now, the Venusaur came in at a true 9.5 for 9.5s all around. Venusaur base set unlimited card comes in as a true Gem Mint 9.5. Taking a look at the subcategories, it's 9.5s all around, and this is from the same lot as the Chansey and Poliwrath. So, taking a look at the back, it also virtually is flawless with no whitening. So that is why I'm surprised some of the other cards are not as the same as this Venusaur, which is in beautiful condition. And that's why it's going to be very interesting to see what this Venusaur comes in. I'm hoping to get multiple 10s on this guy. And now we're gonna reveal the grade. It's a 9.5, thank you. So the Venusaur comes in at a 9.5, but the edges were knocked down. Thankfully, no other category was knocked down. So it remains a Gem Mint 9.5. My goodness, this is nerve-wracking. But really, really interesting to see. Like, these type of minuscule differences, I know it's big because it affects the whole grade, but you can tell, like, you really just gotta look at the card, guys. Don't always trust by the grade. Always take a look at the card because it changes every single time. And I will say credit for Beckett, at least for these so far. You know, I think they usually do different graders for different cards, not knowing where they came from. Wow, these corners are flawless. My gosh. Still surprised, you know, it has the same type of cutout like the other two over here. But that being said, those got 9s and this got the 9.5 still. So the Venusaur comes in, thankfully, at a 9.5. Man, we're just ramping up here, guys. What do we got next? Make sure I'm trying to look down, make sure nothing's revealed. We have... Okay, so now we have the Blastoise. I believe the Blastoise came in at a 9 for the overall grade. We have Blastoise. Blastoise comes in at a mint 9, and taking a closer look at the subcategories, there's only one 9.5, and that's for the corners. Now, this specific Blastoise, with 9s for the rest of the categories, was part of the same box that the Venusaur, Poliwrath, and Chansey came in. So that's why I'm really, really surprised at the subcategory grades for this specific Blastoise, because taking a look at the back, it really has no whitening on it once again. So this is going to be a very interesting test to see if we can get this Blastoise bumped up to a Gem Mint 9.5. Nines in every category except corners got a 9.5. You ready? It remains a 9. With 9s in every category except the surface gets bumped down to an 8.5 and the corners were bumped down to a 9. Wow, I'm not even showing it on there. So comparing it from label to label, you will see it went 0.5 down in two categories, but the centering and edges remain the same. Of course, we always take a look at the back. I believe this one also has kind of, it's not as bad as the other ones for the corners of how it's cut, but I see nothing wrong with the corners on this one. So it's so surprising that they got a 9. Obviously, I'm not really checking the front as much. We can do that. Usually it's with the back, but yeah, I mean, there's nothing even on here. So it must be how it's cut is what's knocking that down, I guess. I have no idea. But overall, it's nice. It's relatively the same once again, so nothing too crazy for the Blastoise. All right, got several more let's see. We have... Oh, we're in Zard territory now. The base set 2 Charizard, which I felt was a much better score than the 8.5 that it came in. We have our first Charizard of the day. I pulled this one way back when. It has a beautiful swirl coming out of its mouth. It couldn't be any more of an appropriate place, unless maybe in the back. That would also be appropriate. But we have an 8.5. This guy, I believe, is better than an 8.5, with the subcategories coming in at 8.5 for the corners and surface. Edges have a 9, and the centering has a 9.5, which is very, very nice. But taking a closer look at the back, there really isn't much whitening, if any, on the back as well. So when you know, and I don't have my black light or anything specifically for this, so it's more of just from the eye, naked eye. So this is going to be very interesting to see for this Charizard base set 2 card, if we can get it at least bumped up to a 9. But for now, it's nice that it does have the metal label on it for this base set 2 Charizard. You ready? It's bumped up! It's about time! Let's see it, let's see it. So the centering got 9.5, edges and surface each got 9s, corners still got an 8.5, and for the previous one, corners remained the same, an 8.5, surface got bumped up 0.5, edges 9 in the centering. Yeah, so those were the same, everything was the same virtually, except the surface got bumped up just 0.5, and that was enough to knock it back up from an 8.5 to 9. That's fantastic. So the corners are supposed to be terrible, apparently, for this card, but the 8.5, that one looks beautiful. There is some minuscule whitening at the, very small, though. I would say there is some whitening at the bottom, especially on the edges right there. And there is some whitening on that one. Okay, so I'll take that. And overall, I'll take the score. By the way, you gotta check the swirl coming out right there. Coming out of Charizard's mouth. You can see it. Yeah, there we go. Right there. Look at that swirl. Is that not like the perfect swirl card? Seriously. Swirl collectors, you can inquire within. So, I'll take it. That's a very, very nice one to see. Now, we have some heavy hitters coming, including 2 cards that I did not mention in that were not broken out of their slabs. However, you may have seen me pull them recently. But first, we still got some heavy hitters, including this one. The infamous Charizard base set unlimited card. Coming up now is the Charizard that's already been graded twice. The first one came out at a strong 9.5, but now as we got it regraded, it came back a 9. So, well, that's not too crazy. We got to look at the actual subcategories. What was crazy was the fact that the centering and corners literally did a switch. The centering still had I think it was a 9, but the corners had a 10 the first time I had gotten this graded. Now, all of a sudden, they're an 8.5. The rest with the edges a 9 and the surface being a 9.5. Breaking this one out once again and grading it for a 3rd time just to experiment is going to be a very, very interesting test, because taking a look at the back, there really is no whitening on this thing. The only thing I would say is just how the corner is just cut a bit differently than that side. And that is why I'm not surprised that the corners got an 8.5 this time. It's just the fact that they got a 10 the first time. So this base set unlimited Charizard, put your calls in, my friends, because this one's going to be fun. This one was not just graded once, it was already graded twice. And if you would like to go see those videos, well, you can go check out the most recent one where the literal corners of the card were flipped. The corners had originally a perfect 10 score, had it regraded. They came back to an 8.5 for the corners, but the centering came back a 10 this time. I know, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. So, with that being said, the previous score was that 9. Let's see. It's still a 9. Let's take a look at those subcategories for this one. Oh my, so we got 9s in every single category. This is insane. So the corners originally had a 10, bumped that down to an 8.5. They're now a 9, which is good. Centering used to be a 10. Now it's a, I don't even know what to say. Surface used to be a 9.5 and edges remain the same at that 9. Guys, this is still the biggest enigma I've seen when it comes to cards. Just what is going on with this specific Charizard card? Like, the only thing with the corners of this card is the fact that it's cut like those other ones, but the corners definitely are not worth that much of a score. I can see the edges for this one down here getting that 9. Some like the edges of the bottom, you can see there's kind of roughed up down there. There's a little speck right there like we've seen before. Perfect corner, little something something at the very top. This has just been such a mystery when it comes to this specific Charizard card. With that being said, there we go. It remains the same score, but there used to be a 10 for the corners and there used to be a 10 for the centering. I'm moving on, guys. I believe the next one is a first edition, either Raichu, Chansey, or the other special card. You ready? It's the Charizard. Okay, so this is one of the ones that was not broken out of the slab. A Diamond and Pearl Stormfront Charizard. You may have seen me pull one before. This is a different one. You ready? Let's see it. A 9. Was really hoping for a 9.5 for this one, but first off, yes, it is a reprint of the original Charizard from base set, and it's very, very cool. It has more of a red shade, a more cartoony-ish look, and like a yellow hue going over the entire card. But just so we can check out the scores, got a mint 9. Surface got an 8.5. We'll have to see if there's any print lines and such. The rest got 9s. So, of course, we hit the black light. Let's check out the corner. There's some whitening at the corner, a little edge wear at the top. Same thing with that side. A little very minuscule whitening on the corner only, and definitely a speck of whitening on that corner. And then, of course, you can try to take a look. There's usually nothing wrong with the backs. It's always, when it comes to surface, some sort of like factory line, but I can't really tell with it being in the case. In any words, it is still an immaculate, beautiful looking card, and would have preferred a 9.5, but it's not close to getting a 9.5 here, so that's okay. Comes in still with the mint 9 silver label for the Charizard from Stormfront. Now, some big ones. I mean, they were been pretty big. Let's see what this first edition is, because they should be first edition. It's the Chansey. First edition base set Chansey that I pulled a while ago. Then we have the one. Well, I technically said the Charizard's the one, but we have a first edition Chansey. Pulled this one myself. It came back very upsetting, an 8.5. And like I said before, Chansey holographics are very, very difficult to grade. And this one as well, with the subcategories, centering an 8, corners and surface each got 9s, and then the edges got a 9.5, which is very, very nice. I've seen much worse centering get 9s and 9.5s than this Chansey. Especially the back has the same type of centering as the front, which is not perfect, I'll admit that. But it's not an 8 worthy, I will say that. And then you have the corners and surface, and from a quick glance, I also don't see any factory lines on the holofoil, and trying to get a closer look, I don't see much whitening on the corners. Like maybe right here if that qualifies for an edge, but the edge has got 9.5. So this first edition Chansey, this is gonna be big because even the difference in 0.5s make a significant difference in value. So let's see it, first edition Chansey. I'm really hoping we can somehow get it to a 9.5, but as I believe over here, the Chansey was an 8.5. So let's see it. bumped up! Yeah! So it comes back a mint 9. Let us see. So the centering gets bumped up to an 8.5 and 9. So it went bumped up twice with the 0.5s for the centering and surface, respectively. Edges remained the same with a 9.5, same with the corners. I like seeing that a lot. Chanseys are so difficult to grade. There's always factory line, there's always scratches. So there is a little whitening, but not too much, more so on the edges. That's good. And on the edge over here, you can definitely see that whitening right there. And then just taking more of a look at the card. So very nice to see. Obviously getting this graded by PSA, and probably a PSA 9. Not the most strongest one. And then of course, always got to check the holofoil. Could there, probably could be some factory lines or whatever. But that is very nice. The thin stamp, it's a thin one. First in it, the whole thick versus thin thing, that's just personal preference for the most part. I know a lot of people like the thick stamps more, but whatever, to each their own. All right, so the final card should be the Raichu that I pulled. This is the Raichu that I just pulled. Guys, I opened up a heavy first edition base set pack last week. Or was it even this week, actually? No, it was last week. I thought it was in great condition. So let's see it. 9.5 for the first edition Raichu. Almost a true Super Saiyan 9.5. Everything got 9.5s except the corners, which we'll take a look at. And it's a thick boy. It's a thick stamp for the first edition Raichu. That is such a great score. All right, let's take a look. That's a little whitening, or is that just some dust at the top right? There's definitely, looking at the black light, something with this corner or edge. That one's good, and that one's good as well. So it's not flawless, but at the same time, it is a very, very beautiful and strong 9.5, which makes me very, very happy. So the first edition Raichu comes in at a 9.5. Guys, you want me to do this again? Make sure to leave a like and let's hit 10,000. You want to go check out some previous videos? Click there right now. Stay awesome, stay positive, and as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.